Hey guys, what's up? I'm back, and people are asking me, you gotta talk about some of your other jobs and how you got them. So I was thinking about one, and it was like, oh, here's one I haven't talked about yet, and it was my first foray, is that how you say it? Into this genre. So today I'm going to talk about how I got cast in Ghost Whisperer. I was, doing the Jamie Kennedy thing, and that was, for a while, I was a working actor, and then I became, that was kind of going on at a pace throughout all the 90s, and then I was building myself up, but I felt like I needed to become a name, and I didn't know how to do it. I wasn't getting in a movie where I was starring as myself, so that's when I created the Jamie Kennedy Experiment, and then that made me become a name. And people knew me from things, but then I became Jamie Kennedy, and then I became like this, funny person. And I'd always done stand-up, and I was learning the art of hitting camera, and then that obviously led to me starring in Son of the Mask and doing a big cameo in Harold and Kumar and Malibu's, and I did Kicking It Old School. I put that whole thing together, that whole project, and that kind of didn't work. Do I do that? I didn't do that one yet, did I? I'm gonna have to do that. It worked for press. It worked for funny. It worked for people loving it. It just didn't make a hit. It wasn't. The critics obviously didn't get it. The audiences loved it, but not a lot of people saw it. But now it's getting revival. So I had just taken a hit after a hit. I did Son of the Mask, that didn't work, and then Blowing Up, that didn't work, and then my special came and went, and then Heckler was about to get a big release, and then that just only went to cable, and then Kicking It was just, and it didn't. I was ready for my next movie after Kicking It, and then I couldn't get that greenlit because Kicking It didn't make the money they thought, and so I got cold, and so I was just at that point, I was really depressed. I basically had all this stuff. I took like 5 or 6 kicks in the nuts, and most people can't take one kick. Most people don't even get to get a chance to kick. So I was really betting on myself a lot, and I was coming up empty. Not creatively though, but just if if it doesn't see ratings, if it doesn't see good reviews, if it doesn't see money, it's like, what, you lost, So I just, I told my agent, I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna fucking tour. I didn't want to tour, but they're like, you should just go on the road and just get really good at stand-up, so start touring hard. So that's what I did, any weekend, anywhere, I just would tour. I would tour all weekend and, live the dream and go out and just party it up, joke it up, merch it up, boom, collect a check, next one. Basically, I was just on the road for about, 9 or 10 months, just doing gigs, and that was it. Love from my agents, I was like creating stuff, and then it wasn't working, and I was like looking for them to like give me something to help me combat the loss, and they were just like, well, nothing happening, I basically got a call one day, and I got a call from my old manager, and she said, I'd like to talk to you. And I said, what's up? And she said, I think that you should think about working with me again, and I had at the time another rep, and I was like, well, why? And then she had another agent that she knew, and she's like, I think I can get you a job. So I was like, all right. So it was like a fucking hilarious Hollywood moment, So she goes and she says, meet me at so-and-so at 10 o'clock. And so I was back from the road in between gigs. I meet her at this little hotel bar, and I meet this other guy. And they said, you should come with us because you need to work more. And I was like, well, what makes you think you can get me work? And blah, 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 blah. And they were like, this is what we think, and blah, blah, blah. And little they had inside information, right? So clearly they wanted to be the one to get me this job. So this was like the first job that I think was probably kind of set up for me. Maybe not, maybe. So long story short is I got rid of my other reps, and because they, we had hit the end of the road. I loved them, but it wasn't happening. They weren't proactive, and they were moving on. That's a whole other story. They were moving on to other people who and that's one of the reasons I didn't want to be with them. I'm like, there's a lot of meat on this bone. Like, you don't fucking believe in me. And so, but I mean, they've done very well, so I can't say anything. But I always felt like I was second or third fiddle for them, And so I signed with my old manager again, who was like, she was always one of my friends. She was just a great person. And I signed with this new guy, and I'll never forget. I'm in Miami, just doing the Miami Improv, and I'm, chilling, and like I'm going to the beach and getting ready to do shows. And I get a call, and they say, you have a meeting next week for a show called Ghost Whisperer. And I'm like, I know that show. Like, that's a show with J Love? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, it's a 1 hour drama? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, on CBS? And they're like, yeah. So I thought, like, for what? And they're like, series regular. And I'm like, well, I was going to stay in Miami a couple of days. And they're like, don't. They're like, come back. This meeting's important. So I was like, serious? And they're like, yeah. So I looked a little bit of the history of the show. At that time, CBS was like, they called the Tiffany Network because it was like the most prestigious network, but it was also the geriatric network. Before shows like this and Big Bang, CBS was like fucking average age that watched it was dead. Love was one of the first people, along with Big Bang Theory, Kelly Cuoco and friends, who, gave it a younger feel. I knew that Aisha was a comedian, and she was on the first season, and I know her very well. And then I knew Jay Moore was a comedian, and I think he was on the second and third season. I think I was going in for the fourth season. I'm like, okay, there's comedians in there. And I go, I guess they like having a funny person. But you have to understand. So I was like, at this time, in my mind, I'm a movie star, and you don't go backwards, and then you don't go back to TV and become one of the players on a show that's not your own, So I was like, what is this, But, the reps I had, and, they made good points. It was like, look, you've been taking a lot of hits lately. Take this meeting, and it's a 1 hour drama, something you haven't done, which is true. I never did. It's a different life. It's a scheduled life. It's just for one season. It could heat you up in the world of CBS and, network television. And, as you're doing it, you can also create your other ideas and stuff. And then as you're doing it, you build a relationship with the network, and you can pitch your ideas. And I said, that's not a bad idea. And they said, the money's really good. And they said, but you have to go get it. It's not yours to have. You don't have it. And I said, how did I get, interest from them? And they said, well, we're pushing for you, but also you did Criminal Minds, which again came to me from my friend. My reps didn't know about it, nor think I should do that. But Criminal Minds put me on the map of CBS's casting people. So I go and I meet with Kim, wonderful producer, and her husband Ian, I don't believe was there, and they're the creators of the show. And I had just a great meeting with them on a Friday, and it was one of probably one of the top 5 respectful meetings I ever had. Really big fans. They made me feel like they really loved me. I walked into their big bungalow in Universal, sat down, had an amazing espresso. We just talked. They said, do you know Love? And I say, I know Love from our era, and I know her, obviously, but I don't really know her. I only know her from like Kevin Williamson, like parties, or I see her at events, but I don't really know her. They said, Jay Moore is on the show now, but he's leaving. He's going to do his own show. He was getting his own show called Gary Unmarried, which I found out later that my agent, who represented me, represented Jay. So my vibe was he knew Jay was coming out. He could slide me in, which is very smart. Put Jay, if Jay's show becomes a hit, then he can slide me off of this, develop my own half-hour sitcom, boom, and he can have like a factory of like TV stars and then get hot again and then become a movie star again and all that stuff. So it was a good idea, but it's very different for me, because I was used to being in control, creating, doing everything from top to bottom, and then executing. And in this, I was just a player in the whole production. It was a cog in the wheel, you know. What's crazy is I just have this great meeting with Kim, and she's awesome. And she's like, you know, we think you'd be great, and we do this, and we've had, you know, Aisha, and we had Jay, and the show is really good with comedians, because when I was on, Margaret Cho came on, and she did a nice reoccurring thing. So she, you know, they love comedians on that show. And it's like, here's your character. He's gonna be, you know, a guy that has this near-death experience, and he's touched, and he can hear ghosts, but he can't see them. So he's like tortured by them, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you know, we just got to get like the network's approval. We got to get the studio's approval, because Disney was the studio, CBS was the network. CBS already liked me. And then they had to get Love to sign off on it, you know, which was crazy. I didn't even have to meet Love. It was her baby. And then I think they were talking on Monday or whatever. And and then boom, boom. And the next thing I know, on Tuesday, they were negotiating. So it was kind of like the most stress-free job I ever got. And so the contract was for 1 year, with an option, if I did well, to go for a second year, and then negotiate every year after that if I did well. To me at the time, I thought I was taking a job that was like a filler. It's like what they call a programmer. You know what I mean? Something that you put on TV, it's evergreen, and it, you know, it gets it going. That's what I always say when we were shooting it. I would just say, look, you guys, like, sometimes I think they would overthink it. You know, I'll probably get in trouble for this, but I was like, look, it's like this. Cut to the weird ghost, show my crazy reaction, cut to Love's face, commercial. I mean, it's a pretty simple formula, right? And boom, count the money. We were number one on Friday night. We were number one Friday night. I was like, do I want to do like this drama? Do I want to do like this stuff? Because I knew it wasn't like, it was just this stable show, but it wasn't like this crazy ass, you know, highly risky show. I was making a lot of noise. It was like a nice, peaceful show. Going back now, I will tell you this. I would say Ghost Whisperer is one of the 5 things I'm known for. So I would say it's Screams for sure, Jamie Kang Experiment for sure, Malibu's for sure, Screaming Malibu's for sure, Son of the Mask, in the comedy community, Hardcore Heckler, and Ghost Whisperer. Ghost Whisperer opened me up to a whole new world of audience. Basically, Ghost Whisperer gave me a lot of Karen fans. Like, it was Karens before Karens, like white wine warriors, women that are drinking Franzia, crying because they can relate to the story. Love is such a great ingenue for them to live through. When I started the show, I was in it like, you know, a minute to establish my character, and then I would pop in and pop out. And then as me and Love started getting, you know, tight, I was in every episode. Like, my schedule got crazy. So I ended up getting the job off of a meeting. What happened as a chance meeting became, you know, a 2-year period of my life. A very different chapter. Ghost Whisperer went 5 years. I was on for 2 of it. It definitely could be rebooted. And it's Ian and Kim, the creators, know how to squeeze a buck out of every angle of that show. I get the best checks from it. It's the most exploited show in the best way possible. So people talk about a reboot, I'd be into it. I would do it in a heartbeat. But what I'm trying to tell you is how I got cast, that might have been the easiest how I got cast in my career. A lot of stuff happened on it, and a lot of crazy behind the scenes, which would be a whole other series. Maybe I'll do it. But right now, that's how I got cast. It was a different role for me. Friday night, 1 hour, supernatural drama on CBS. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Remember, if you like this content, please just give us a thumbs up. If you really like it, leave a comment. Let's talk about it. Please subscribe, because, you know, that helps with me wanting to do more content. And if you like to get it on time, hit the notification button. Peace.